Right, so good afternoon. Great to have you here. A final presentation, and I will work on what we have already heard from a perspective of academia, but also of a practitioner about what cities want in terms of urban mobility. And look at this nice one here. This is the latest innovation, making a reference to this nice bird. Mark Moore, on behalf of NASA, developed autonomous flying cars, and Uber takes this to escape the congestion. What do you think could be the only problem about that? Well, someday this flying car has to land, and then we are back in the question of the quality of urban space and the quality of nodes and urban places that the cities are made of. So for the moment in Munich, we are doing research on the mobility station. So it's a mobility hub where car sharing and bike sharing are linked to public transportation. The free-floating, perhaps in the future, autonomous e-car sharing pooling system gets a docking station somewhere where you can get on and off. And this is happening in urban places, in urban areas where people live, where people work, where people spend their leisure time. So I think we need to link these mobility concepts together with urban concepts. And if we have a transportation problem, then perhaps we cannot only solve this by transportation projects, but by urban projects together with the development of our regions. So this is the city, and this symbol for the city is very old, but it's still very much valid, I think, to make the link between these transportation systems, networks, hubs, and nodes, and the urban places we live in. A very simple model, perhaps the first dynamic integrated land use and transport model. We have studied this and worked it out in a more comprehensive way, also together with a lot of partners, to make it a non-linear dynamic feedback model where land use and transportation are the key for sustainable development. And if now innovations go along, they go along within such a system. From a strategic perspective, accessibility is one of the key active drivers in this system. And I think as a transport planner, yes, we can start from transportation networks that also govern the attractiveness of locations, and by this govern the profile and characteristics of the urban surrounding. And if these two go together well in integrated concepts, then we don't need to fear rising oil prices or something like that, but we can develop transportation demand management strategies and do not take the given amount of cars in the street as a given. We have developed these ideas with a lot of partners, not only Copenhagen, but 15 cities worldwide that have been analyzed in a comparative analysis and also discussed this with us in a workshop series. And obviously there is empirical evidence that the car ownership rates and the mobility behavior somehow go together. We can also see that there is a large variety in the status of the cities. So you could say every city is unique, but at the same time the basic drivers of change, they are pretty much the same. And this is one of the key charts to say, okay, if car ownership and car traffic is going up with economic development, then the key problem we are facing is the limited urban space, and this is then translated by congestion. Now, you could say, well, congestion is a bad thing and this is hindering our economic development, but from a system theory perspective, the opposite is true. Congestion is a good thing because it shows that we have a problem with limited resources, and this is the space that we have to manage in a different way, and we have to develop perhaps better solutions for this. One of the better solutions is walking and cycling, and also other modes and other services that will come up to provide higher quality in urban space. And just as an example, look at this one. What a beautiful public urban space in the middle of the city of Boston. I think the public urban space is the most valuable resource a city has to share. And the question is, how are cities and then also private interests intertwined? How do private operators can make use of this space? How do these spatial conflicts that are very hard, if you just know about how to search a parking, then can be translated into sustainable concepts? And that, I think, is all what sustainable development is about, that we have to make sure we fulfill our individual interests, but that we respect and also govern the common objectives. And I can't go into the details, but that's for the discussion. Also, this might be for the discussion. There's a lot of European solutions and also international solutions to make these concepts a reality. So the question, if we want to really implement these strategies, again, come back to what Carsten said, is that we need to work together, and we need to work together with the private sector, with the industries, with the service providers, but we also need to work together with the citizens and the policies that are behind, so that this can be developed into one common framework. That's it for the moment. I would be really happy to stay in touch on that, but time is short, and I think with this we can start a discussion. Thank you very much.